Good afternoon. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Wars and rumors of wars. Have you been keeping up with what's going on over between Israel and Iran? I have to be honest with you that I haven't. Not today, not since I put up the last one. It's been a busy day. I've had a lot going on, writing the book. Whenever I get to the end of a book, it just starts flowing out because I have a lot of storylines that I'm bringing together, and so it just kind of consumes me, which is a good thing for finishing a book. But I haven't kept up with what's going on today. Probably a lot of you have, and that's good. It's good to stay tuned with what's going on in the world, realizing while we do that there's nothing that we can do about it. And what we can do is simply be prepared for whatever may come our way. And that's the central focus of preparedness, right? Because we're not scared, we're prepared. Before I get farther into this, I do want to suggest another channel. You know, I recommended a channel just the other day, and that was Alaska Prepper. And boy, welcome to all you folks who have come over from Alaska Prepper. I mean, having been, recommended by him, Rudy seems like a great guy, and I'm looking forward to now following his channel. But you all are so nice, and you're so polite. You remind me of Integrative Preparedness subscribers. You know, not everybody in the preparedness world is nice and polite, are they? And if you could see some of the comments that I have to delete and other creators have to delete, it'd blow you away. But it's good to be around good folks. Well, I want to recommend another channel that, I'll be honest, I've seen a couple of them in the past, but I never really followed them. And when I don't follow a channel, it doesn't mean that I don't think the channel is good. It just means that I don't have time. But one of our patrons, and I'm sorry that I've forgotten who they are, but when I put this one on the Patreon channel also, I will give you, whoever you are, I'll give you credit for it. One of our patrons suggested a video from another channel, and the channel was Deep South Homestead, and I think the guy's name is Danny, and he was this was kind of his topic, and I think that the title, and I'll put the link, like I say, those of you who are just on YouTube, you can go find it, Deep South Homestead, and watch this. And if you're with us on Patreon, and I'll put the link down below. He was talking about what will that day be like, and the day that he's talking about is the day of the Lord, the day when it all comes, not crashing down for some, not for everyone, but the end times, the end of days. And he did such a good job at that. He really did. I listened, and he's a very easy listen. You know, I don't know what state he's in, but obviously deep south, and he explained it in such a good way. I don't know if he's a pastor or a preacher or what. He didn't say, and I haven't followed him long enough to know. But, I've had so many people ask me about that as well. And we get a lot of people on these channels coming on about the end is coming, Jesus come quickly, and I think in some cases it's almost as if they don't think they're going to have to make their next house payment. They're expecting it to happen so soon. And I caution them. I said, Christ's disciples themselves fully expected him to return during their lifetime. We don't, our time is not God's time. And I won't get into this in detail here, but I was so glad to see how well he covered it. And he just covered it great. And so I suggest, if you want to get into that, Danny just does a wonderful job talking about that. But what I want to say is that, and I will put this in, what I stress to people, we don't know when. And, you know, the end, what are the end times? The end times started at when Christ was crucified and resurrected. We are in the end times, but whether those end times are going to be another couple of months or going to be another 5,000 years, no one knows. And Jesus himself said, no one knows, not even the Son, only the Father. Okay, so I think that that's an argument that people need to stop being so concerned about. You've already been told that you're not going to know. And then people will say, yes, but there are signs, and that, yes, yeah, okay, there are, but those signs, if you really want to get into theology, which I don't right now, those signs have been able to be seen for 2,000 years. So what we are charged with is to live our lives the way we should now. Okay, and Jesus himself told us to be prepared. There's not a darn thing that people can do about the biblical end times. But as I've always said, preparedness is responsibility. It's the ultimate responsibility, and it is the ultimate irresponsibility. We are charged to be responsible for ourselves and for those who depend on us. And to the extent that we are prepared, we are going to be able to satisfy that obligation, that responsibility. We don't know what's going to come as a result of this latest exchange between Israel and Iran. And some people might have a feeling one side or another on that, a political side. I'm not taking a side on that. My side is I want you to be prepared. I want you to live the best life you can. And when I talk about what integrative preparedness means, integrative preparedness means to separate yourself, that everything you do should work together. Not to the extent that you forget about the rest of the world, but everything you do should almost be dual purpose, in that it should all work together in order to separate you from dependence on all of those external systems over which you have little or no control. Because as long as you are dependent on external systems, that's the extent that you are not prepared to go it on your own, or if you've made allowances for that, I understand that as well. But the whole purpose of preparedness is to prepare yourself against the day where you're going to have to deal with some very perhaps extreme challenges. And you know all of the basics, the food, the water, the shelter, the people, all of those things are the basics. And you need to be able to develop your own ability to provide for all the needs that you now depend on, the outside sources for. One of the things that gets in people's way is they tend to get clouded with fear. And if you pay too much attention, now you should pay attention to what's going on in the world, but if you pay attention to that to the extent of where it freezes you with fear, you're working against yourself. When I teach combatives in martial arts, and articles that I wrote many years ago for Grandmaster magazine, I would explain that when you're attacked, you essentially have three enemies. I call it the three enemies. When you're attacked, you have three enemies. You have confusion, you have fear, and then you have the attacker. And through training and preparation, you can pretty much deal with those first two. You take away the confusion, you take away the fear, and because you know that you are prepared, and then you simply have the attacker to deal with. And without the first two clouding your mind, that attacker is going to be much more easily dealt with. I won't say easily, but more easily than if you're fighting through the clouds of confusion and fear. And it's the same way with any great challenge in life. If you're not ready for it, if you're not prepared for it, the confusion you're going to go through, the fear you're going to go through can tend to lock you up, and you're not going to be able to respond to it as well as you should be able to. So this is, one of the great purposes of preparedness. And in order to prepare, as you should, you need to have some kind of understanding of what those challenges might be. Now, in my books, I'm out at a little lake here. I'm not going to say where. This is one of our set points on our way to our alternate location. It's the point at which we, I'm not going to say anymore. I'll get into this again when I talk about moving to alternate locations. I don't call them bug out locations, because you should have a number of different locations that you can go to depending on what might happen, right? Excuse me, somebody's calling me. I'll be right back. Okay, I apologize. I think I lost my train of thought while I was talking to somebody. But in order to be as prepared as you can be, you want to have a good idea of what the challenges might be, and that's where you keep, the world in mind. You pay attention to what's going on in the world. With what's going on now between Iran and Israel, could we expect some kind of attack here? Yes, we could. I would imagine that it would be a cyber attack on our grid or something like that. Could be the grid, could be the water systems. We've had both of those happen recently. It could be the 911 system comes down, right? Now, if you were planning an attack on our country, you'd probably do pretty much what I would, and that's first off, take out the 911, shut down part of the grid, hack the water systems, whatever. There's all different ways. I won't try to get into that, but there's all different ways that you can do it, different orders that you can do them in to create the most chaos. And of course, chaos is what they would be after. And if these things happen, you're going to find yourself in a world of chaos. And the extent to which you're prepared is going to help you mitigate dealing with that chaos. So I just wanted to say on this that while you keep an eye on what's going on in the world, remember that your primary responsibility is developing your own preparedness plan. And that includes the people around you. And these things that are happening in our world right now are the perfect opportunities to try to draw people a little more closely into your circle. People who in the past says, nothing's going to happen, all of a sudden are paying a little bit closer attention when these things happen, and all of a sudden gasoline shoots up, a bunch, and the stores have some shortages in them, and it tends to bring reality home. I read something the other day, and I'm going to make a separate video on it, and it was something that I heard on, who is that guy? Patrick Bet-David on his Valuetainment. He did a little something on preparedness and preppers. And if you're new to the channel, I don't really call them preppers. I call them preparedness-minded people. Nothing against, it's just that the word prepper has been used so much that the other side uses it as kind of a diminishing title on those of us who are prepared. And so once you get past a certain point, I call a person a preparedness-minded person, PMP, because it has just become a way of life. But he said something very interesting. Matter of fact, I'll hold that for another one, because he talked about some studies that had been done recently about what percentage of people were preppers, and it was surprising to me, and I'm not easily surprised on that, because I've written 6 books on it, and like I say, if you want to see how many preppers are out there in the world, write 6 books about it, and they'll spill out of the woodwork. They'll be all over you, and so I've always known there were a lot out there, but what he said was very surprising. I'll talk about that in another one. So pay attention to what's going on in the world. Use this as an opportunity to kind of kind of put out feelers to the people you know, and see if you can't get them a little more interested in preparedness, because the more people you know that are interested in preparedness, the more people you have potentially to come together in a group when it's necessary. The fewer people you're going to have to take care of, right? The more people you're going to to be able to bring together in a mutual assistance situation. And it's just the right thing to do. You know, if you like people, if you want the people who you love to be prepared. You're going to take care of them anyway. And if they'll just do a little bit themselves, it's sure going to make it a lot easier on you. But until that happens, you keep preparing for yourself and for other people as well. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but the time is not yet. And we're going to go through a lot. And our responsibility is to be prepared to go through that, and to go through it in as good a shape as we can. You know, at the end, I always say we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And then I say, you know, you're going to live as well tomorrow as you prepare to live. And so everything you do now is important. So just keep that in mind, and make sure you go over and watch Danny on Deep South Homestead, and that one that he put up about what will that day be like. It's an excellent one to watch. And I have now subscribed to him, and I'll be watching him regularly, just like I'll be watching Alaska Prepper regularly. So I think that's about it. The family is walking around here, and I think we're gonna go back over there and spend Friday evening with them. So you all have a great day, a great evening, a great day tomorrow. If I don't talk to you, I'll talk to you guys over on Patreon tomorrow. I'm not sure I'll do one for YouTube, but have a good one. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. You all have a good one, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.